The morning sun cast long shadows through the courthouse windows as Michael Rodriguez adjusted his worn tie for the third time. His calloused hands trembled slightly, not from the cold autumn air, but from the weight of what lay ahead. Behind him, in the gallery's back row, sat his 9-year-old daughter Lily, her school backpack clutched tightly in her small arms, her wide brown eyes taking in every detail of the imposing courtroom. Michael had worked double shifts at the construction site for 3 years, never missing a day, never complaining about the ache in his back or the dirt under his fingernails. All he wanted was to provide for Lily, to give her the childhood he never had, to show her that hard work and honesty were the foundations of a good life. But now, accused of stealing equipment worth thousands of dollars, everything he'd built seemed to crumble around him like the concrete he mixed every day. Before we continue with this incredible story, I want you to know that what you're about to hear really happened. It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful voices come from the most unexpected places. Please take a moment to comment below and let me know where you're watching from, and if this story moves you, don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring content like this. The Public Defender's Office had called that morning. Budget cuts, they said. Scheduling conflicts. His lawyer wouldn't arrive until the afternoon, but the preliminary hearing was set for 9 a.m. sharp. The prosecutor, a stern woman in her 50s, shuffled through her papers with practiced efficiency. She'd seen cases like this 100 times before. Another working-class man, probably guilty, probably going to plead out to avoid jail time. Judge Patricia Coleman entered the courtroom with the weight of 30 years on the bench behind her. She'd heard every excuse, every sob story, every desperate plea. Her gray hair was pulled back severely, and her reading glasses perched on the end of her nose as she reviewed the case file. The theft of construction equipment, a defendant without representation, a straightforward morning that would be wrapped up before lunch. Michael stood when his name was called, his legs feeling like they might give out beneath him. Behind him, Lily watched her father's shoulders sag with defeat, and something fierce ignited in her young heart. She'd seen her father come home exhausted every night, his hands bleeding from the rough work, but always with a smile for her, always asking about her homework, always making sure she had everything she needed for school. The prosecutor began her opening statement, painting Michael as a desperate man who turned to theft to make ends meet. She spoke of missing equipment, of Michael's access to the construction site, of circumstantial evidence that she claimed painted a clear picture of guilt. With each word, Michael seemed to shrink further into himself. Judge Coleman looked down at the defendant. "Mr. Rodriguez, I understand your attorney isn't present this morning. We can postpone this hearing until—" "Your Honor," Michael's voice cracked slightly, "I can't afford to miss any more work. I didn't do this. I just want to clear my name and get back to my daughter." The judge's expression softened almost imperceptibly as she glanced at the young girl in the back row. But procedure was procedure. "Mr. Rodriguez, I strongly advise you to wait for legal representation. This is a serious charge, and—" That's when it happened. A small voice, clear and determined, cut through the formal atmosphere of the courtroom like sunlight through storm clouds. "Excuse me, Your Honor." Every head in the courtroom turned. Lily Rodriguez had stood up, her school notebook pressed against her chest, her chin raised with a courage that seemed impossible for someone so small. The prosecutor smirked. "Your Honor, perhaps we should have the child removed so we can proceed." But Judge Coleman held up her hand. There was something in the little girl's eyes, a seriousness that seemed far beyond her years. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lily Rodriguez, Your Honor. That's my daddy, and he didn't steal anything." A few people in the gallery chuckled. The court reporter paused her typing. The bailiff started to move forward, but Judge Coleman waved him back. "Lily," the judge said gently, "this is a very serious place, and your daddy needs a real lawyer to help him." Lily's voice never wavered. "But he doesn't have one, and they're saying things about him that aren't true. May I please speak for my daddy?" The laughter in the courtroom died away. There was something about the girl's composure, her unwavering gaze, that commanded attention. Judge Coleman had seen many things in her 3 decades on the bench, but this was something entirely new. "Lily, do you understand what's happening here today?" "Yes, ma'am. They think my daddy stole some equipment from his work on October 15th. But he couldn't have done it, because I know exactly where he was that whole night." The prosecutor leaned forward, her expression skeptical. "Your Honor, This is highly irregular. The child can't possibly. Let her speak, Judge Coleman said quietly. Something told her to listen, to pay attention to what this little girl had to say. Lily opened her notebook with the same care her father showed when handling his tools. Her small fingers turned the pages until she found what she was looking for. On October 15th, my daddy came home from work at 6:30, just like always. I know because I had to finish my homework before dinner, and we always eat at 7. Her voice grew stronger as she continued. We made spaghetti together. Daddy always lets me stir the sauce, and I always get it on my shirt. She looked up at the judge with a hint of a smile. Daddy says I'm a messy cook, but he never gets mad about it. The courtroom was completely silent now. Even the prosecutor had stopped shuffling her papers. After dinner, Daddy helped me with my math homework. I was having trouble with fractions, and he showed me how to think about them like pieces of his work. He said if he had to divide a wall into 4 equal parts, each part would be 1/4 of the whole wall. Lily flipped to another page in her notebook. Then we watched our Friday night movie. We always watch a movie together on Friday nights. That night we watched Finding Nemo, because I was feeling sad about missing my mommy. Her voice caught slightly, but she pressed on. Daddy always lets me pick the movie when I'm sad. Judge Coleman leaned forward. The child's account was detailed, specific, filled with the kind of intimate family moments that couldn't be fabricated. The movie ended at 9:45, Lily continued, and Daddy tucked me into bed. But I couldn't sleep, so I asked him to read me a story. He read me 3 chapters from Charlotte's Web, because it's my favorite book. She turned another page, revealing a child's drawing in colored pencils. I drew this picture the next day for my art assignment. Mrs. Peterson asked us to draw something that made us happy from the week before. She held up the drawing for the judge to see. It showed a man and a little girl on a couch, a bowl of popcorn between them, a television showing a fish. In the corner, in a child's careful handwriting, was the date, October 15th, movie night with Daddy. The police say the equipment was stolen between 8 and 10 o'clock that night, Lily said, her voice growing more confident. But my daddy was with me the whole time. He couldn't have been at his work because he was helping me with my homework and watching movies and reading me stories. The prosecutor stood up. Your Honor, a child's drawing and her recollection of events can hardly be considered reliable evidence. But Lily wasn't finished. She turned to another page in her notebook. I also wrote about it in my journal. Mrs. Peterson makes us write in our journals every day about what we did. She began to read in her clear young voice, October 15th. Today was a good day. Daddy came home tired, but he still helped me with my hard math. We made spaghetti and I got sauce on my new shirt, but Daddy said it was okay. We watched Finding Nemo and Daddy made popcorn. I was sad about Mommy, but the movie made me feel better. Daddy read me 3 whole chapters before bed. I love my daddy. Tears had begun to form in Judge Coleman's eyes. She looked at Michael, who was staring at his daughter with a mixture of pride and amazement that seemed to fill the entire courtroom. There's more, Lily said softly. She pulled out a small plastic bag containing what looked like ticket stubs. These are from the popcorn we made. Daddy always saves the proof of purchase stickers because he says you never know when you might need them for returns or warranties. These ones are from October 15th. She handed the bag to the bailiff, who brought it to the judge. The date stamp on the grocery receipt was clear, October 15th, 6:52 p.m. And this, Lily said, producing another drawing, is a picture I drew of our whole evening. See, there's Daddy helping me with math at the kitchen table, and there's us cooking, and there's us on the couch watching the movie, and there's Daddy reading to me in my bed. Judge Coleman examined the second drawing. It was remarkably detailed for a child's artwork, showing different scenes from throughout the evening, each labeled with approximate times in the girl's careful handwriting. The silence in the courtroom was deafening. The prosecutor's confident expression had transformed into one of uncertainty. Judge Coleman looked from the little girl to her father, then back again. Lily, the judge said gently, do you understand how important it is to tell the truth, especially in a place like this? Lily nodded solemnly. Yes, ma'am. My daddy taught me that lying is one of the worst things you can do, because it hurts people and it makes trust break. My daddy never lies, and he taught me never to lie either." "And you're absolutely certain about everything you've told me today?" "Yes, ma'am. I'm certain because it was one of our best Friday nights. When I miss my mommy real bad, Daddy always makes sure to make everything extra special. He says love isn't about big things, it's about showing up every single day and doing the little things that matter." Judge Coleman removed her glasses and wiped her eyes. In 30 years on the bench, she had never encountered anything like this. The child's testimony wasn't just convincing, it was profound in its innocence and detail. "Your Honor," the prosecutor began, but Judge Coleman held up her hand. "Ms. Martinez, I'm going to postpone this hearing pending a full investigation into this case. I want to see the security footage from that night, I want to interview everyone who had access to that construction site, and I want a complete timeline of events." She looked directly at Lily. "Young lady, you have shown more courage and clarity than many trained attorneys I've encountered. Your love for your father and your commitment to the truth have made a profound impact on this court." 3 days later, the real thief was caught on security camera from a neighboring business. A former employee with a grudge and a gambling debt had returned to steal equipment he knew would be easy to fence. Michael Rodriguez was completely exonerated. But the story didn't end there. Judge Coleman called Michael and Lily back to her courtroom 1 week later. The same gallery that had witnessed a little girl's brave stand was now packed with reporters and community members who had heard about what happened. "Mr. Rodriguez," Judge Coleman said, "I want to personally apologize on behalf of this court system for what you and your family endured. Your daughter's courage prevented what could have been a terrible miscarriage of justice." She turned to Lily, who was once again clutching her notebook. "Lily, I have been a judge for 30 years, and I have seen many lawyers argue cases in my courtroom. But I have never seen anyone fight for justice with more heart, more sincerity, or more effectiveness than you did. You are, without question, the most powerful advocate I have ever witnessed." The judge paused, her voice thick with emotion. "You saved your father not with legal technicalities or procedural arguments, but with something much more powerful: love, truth, and an unshakable faith in what's right." Michael wrapped his arms around his daughter, tears streaming down his face. "I'm so proud of you, Mija. You saved our family." Lily looked up at her father with those same serious brown eyes that had captivated the courtroom. "Daddy, you taught me that we always fight for the people we love, and we never give up when we know something is right." The story of the 9-year-old girl who became her father's lawyer spread across the country within days. But for Lily and Michael Rodriguez, the real victory wasn't the national attention or the vindication. It was the lesson that love, truth, and courage can overcome even the most overwhelming odds. As they walked out of the courthouse that final time, hand in hand, Lily asked her father a question that would stay with him forever. "Daddy, if we always tell the truth and love each other, we can get through anything, right?" Michael squeezed his daughter's hand and smiled through his tears. "That's right, Mija. Truth and love can move mountains." And in a courtroom where justice had nearly failed, a little girl with a notebook full of love had indeed moved mountains. This story reminds us all that heroism doesn't always come in the form we expect. Sometimes it comes in the shape of a 9-year-old girl with a school notebook and an unshakable belief in her father's innocence. Sometimes the most powerful arguments aren't made with legal precedents and technical knowledge, but with love, truth, and the courage to stand up when everyone else sits down. If this story touched your heart like it did mine, please let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible true stories that remind us of the power of love, courage, and never giving up on the people who matter most. Sometimes, the smallest voices carry the most powerful truths.